So, well, welcome to this is the first Softland Partners meetup in San Francisco. So we'll share as we're going through this evening a little bit more about Softland Partners, and certainly we want to get started though by getting you guys involved, making sure we do some introductions. We'll also have two folks give 6-minute spotlights. So we'll have one of our service providers and also a partner organization give spotlights. We'll have time, probably about 10-15 minutes to share needs and opportunities. So this is where we sort of stop marketing and think about our clients, what needs, our portfolio companies, what needs they have and what connections would be good for them. And then we'll do a couple wrap-up things. The one thing I'd suggest is, it's Zoom is difficult. Any of this virtual stuff is difficult, but sort of as much as you can, think of this like we were in the same room together in a meetup. So feel free to use the chat feature. Feel free to use the private chat feature as people are introducing themselves. If you find a good connection, please utilize as many of the tools as you can to make connections here. That's really the point of what we're doing. We very much want to get these in person as soon as we can, but for now we'll use whatever tools we can to get this going and help you all make good connections. And if you have it nearby, grab a drink of your choice, have a snack, whatever. We're at a meetup. We're being social. There will be time at the end too, just totally open time. So if there are other topics that you want to talk about that we didn't talk about here, you're more than welcome, or even grabbing people individually and swapping stories or whatever works. So I am just going to use the sort of scroll bar here and call on people to do introductions. So we're going to have a pretty big group today. And so I guess I would just say, let's see, somebody's asking, Jasper asking, do as you normally do at a meetup. Okay, who's heading to the bar with me? Good, Jasper, you get the spirit here. Perfect. We are going to have a fairly good-sized group today. So why don't we start with just, in terms of introductions, let's do name, organization, one sentence on what you do. So this is not a paragraph. It's not a, it's not a full page, but one sentence on what you do, and then one thing you enjoy about summer. That's kind of fun and interesting. So why don't we start with Joerg, if you want to start with us. And am I pronouncing your first name correctly?
Yes, you do. So it's a German name, and I always say, think about the city of New York, forget the new, and then you are there. Because maybe to lighten the mood a little bit up, the real German pronunciation would be Jörg, which is too close.
So these are 10-second introductions, Joerg. 10 seconds.
Yeah. Okay. So, but quick. So I'm a partner with Reuter and Partner, and we mostly help American companies going to Germany. That means we take care of their compliance, accounting, payroll, HR needs in Germany. We are doing this since the early 90s. We have clients in Germany between 1 and 2,000 employees. We have 100 employees in total ourselves, and we have an office in San Francisco where I'm based, and our main location.
That is perfect. Good. So idea is name, company, or organization, and one sentence. So let's go to Tate.
Hey guys, my name's Tate Turner. I work for the province of BC, based in the Bay Area, obviously. Work on foreign direct investment into BC and also trade from BC startups.
And one thing you enjoy about summer?
I love the heat. I'm from the South.
There you go. Awesome. Thanks, Tate. How about Robin?
I work for Invest Hong Kong, which is the foreign direct investment arm for the Hong Kong government. And what I like about summer are the longer days.
Oh, there you go. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Robin. How about Will?
Yeah, sure. Will Devenish.
Your volume's way down.
Is that better?
Perfect.
Go again? Okay, cool. So Will Devenish from Osborne Clarke. I counsel US businesses on expanding into new markets internationally from a legal perspective. And I enjoy going to the beach in the summer.
Awesome. Thanks, Will. How about Emily?
Hi, everyone. You're going to hear a little bit from me later. So I'll keep it to what I like in the summer, which is going to be the tomatoes that I'm currently growing in my backyard.
Very cool. We're all going over to your house for dinner. I like that. How about Jasper?
Hey everybody, Jasper Smith. I'm at TMF Group. We do a lot of things. Let's see, anything that's happening with your clients in market, so payroll, accounting, all that good stuff, and the things behind the scenes, so entity formation, all of that. What sets us apart is that we do that with our own offices, 120 locations worldwide. Little bit of overlap with some other people on this call, but you know, I see Jake, for example. I think if I may say that instead of what I enjoy about summer, what I enjoy about groups like this, particularly on the West Coast, is that, you know, we're all friends. There's a little bit of overlap here, a little bit of overlap there, but, you know, looking forward to working with all of you together.
Perfect. Well said. How about Nikki? You're still on mute. There you go.
Hi there. My name is Nikki and I work for Mason Hayes & Curran. I work as business development manager. So Mason Hayes & Curran is an Irish law firm, and we do Irish and EU advice for US companies Irish and EU advice for US companies operating through Europe. And I am based down in Orange County, so drinks on balconies overlooking the sea during the summer makes me very happy.
Wow, this sounds good. I think we're putting together a good group here. Drinks on the balcony. Perfect. Thanks, Nikki. How about Peter?
Hey guys, Pete Jenkins. I work at Velocity Global. We help companies expand internationally and provide HR backend support for cross-border M&A and market entry. What I enjoy about summer is that it tends to open up all the water sports, as in winter that can be a little difficult.
Well, unless you like the hard water sports, but
That's true.
Thanks, Pete. Rachel.
Hi, I'm Rachel Oakley. Also work with William at international law firm Osborne Clarke. So I'm a UK qualified employment lawyer. So out here I counsel our US businesses on their international labor, exec comp, and business immigration needs.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And Diane.
All right, I think I got caught. I just hopped in about 10 seconds ago. Might have missed the prompts here.
Okay. Yeah, we're looking for Diane.
Hi everyone. This is Diane Barrera. I am Jasper's colleague from TMF Group. I do global sales, and we help companies provide back office services when they're looking to expand internationally. We have offices in over 80 countries. And something that I like about the summer, just laying by the pool or the beach and getting a tan.
There you go. Excellent. Thank you. How about Jeff?
Jeff's desperately in need of a haircut, can hardly wait for the hair salons to open up again. IBT Online, website localization and international online marketing for mid-size exporters. Love to help yours.
Super. Thanks, Jeff. Let's see. Jasper, did we already do you?
Yep.
Yep. Okay, cool. Thanks. Let's see. Brian.
I'm Brian Carnahan. I'm with the Victoria Government of Australia, working, I'm the trade director based in San Francisco. I work with companies coming into the US and also US corporations looking to settle down in the Asia Pacific region.
Fantastic. Welcome, Brian. And how about Stewart?
Hi, thank you. I'm Stewart Walker. I work for COSEC Corporate Services. It is a Melbourne-based company. I'm based here in San Francisco. We help companies that are expanding into Australia with various compliance, accounting, back office services. We also help companies coming into the United States, particularly from Australia, but really from anywhere, with a lot of the same kind of service model. Bank account opening, compliance, incorporation, et cetera, et cetera. So kind of a two-way business line.
Super. Well, Stewart, I promise we're going to help you get out of the laundry room there.
I mean, thank you for calling it out. I really appreciate that. Yeah. It is private and quiet, so I got that going for me.
Until the laundry starts.
Exactly. We're among friends here, Stewart. Absolutely. Cool. How about Kevin?
Hi, Kevin Elliott from Bank of Ireland here. I'm in our West Coast office and work with fast-growing companies from the US on their Irish and European banking what I like about the summer is hitting the beach with the kids.
Fantastic. Cool. Well, welcome, Kevin. How about Steve?
Hi, I'm Steve Wares. I'm with CCW. We're part of Crow, the 8th largest audit, tax, and advisory firm in the world. I spent the last 20 years helping US-based companies expand internationally. What I like about summer is probably similar to Nikki, but I'll say it's beers in the backyard.
Ooh, like that. There you go. Or in the front yard, really, wherever the beer is.
In the front yard with the neighbors, right?
Exactly. Cool. Well, welcome. Let's see. How about JR?
That might be referencing me, Jake. So apologies for not the full name, but my name's Jake Radloff. I'm with a company called Intertrust Group. We provide legal and financial administrative services to US companies here in the US and around the world. In terms of summer, I enjoy more daylight hours to play golf.
Cool. Well, welcome, Jake. Appreciate it. And is it Luz?
I apologize. My name is Lu. Last name is Zhang, Z-H-A-N-G. So I'm an international tax director working at Moss Adams, which is a full service accounting firm. I'm an attorney by training. I'm licensed in New York. I spent more than 14 years on international tax planning. So I help companies expanding internationally from a US tax perspectives.
Cool. Well, thank you. Anything special you enjoy in the summer?
You know, I think you guys said it all. You know, I enjoy the flowers in my backyard.
Got it. Perfect. And is it Pui?
Let me unmute. Hi, I'm Pui Som Tam, and I'm with the EIT Hub Silicon Valley. So we're based in San Francisco, and we act as a bridge between Europe and Silicon Valley for entrepreneurs, innovators, and students. So what I like about the summer is the warmer weather.
Fantastic. Welcome. And Maya?
Yes, hi, I'm Maya Vardi. I work for a fund that belongs to the US and Israeli governments. It's called the Bird Foundation, and we provide non-dilutive funding for joint R&D projects between American and Israeli companies. We do the matchmaking, we give the money, looking for companies that are interested in innovative technologies.
Fantastic. Anything in the summer?
Yeah, I think this summer it might be different because of the COVID situation, but what I love the most is traveling to Israel and enjoying the warm Mediterranean.
Fantastic. Well, that's great. Hopefully some of that can happen this summer, but yeah, it'll be different. Henrik.
Hi, so my name is Henrique. I'm from the Portuguese Trade and Investment Agency in San Francisco, and we support Portuguese companies coming to the US market, and we also help American companies investing in Portugal. About the summer, I just enjoy being outdoors with the nice weather.
Fantastic. Oh, that's great. Well, welcome, Henrique. And how about Zan?
Yeah, sure. So name's Zan. Thought it sounded like Diane earlier. Sorry jumping in there. But I'm working at the Israel Trade Office in San Francisco. So Israeli government effort to connect mostly startups, tech startups from Israel to VCs in the Bay Area. And then, yep, obviously the opposite as well. Work with the VCs or the corporates looking to scout tech startups in Israel, help find them.
That's awesome. Well, welcome, Zan, and not Diane. Perfect. And how about Henan? Hello, Henan. Your mic looks like it's ready, but I don't hear you. We'll come back to you. Maybe just work on your mic again. If you can hear us, that's great. I think Kelly as well. Kelly, do you want to go? We don't hear you, Kelly. There you go. No, we still don't hear you. That's bizarre. Okay, we're not hearing Kelly or Hannon. Your mic is definitely off, but we can't hear you. Sorry about that. Who did we miss? Is there anyone that we missed? I guess not. Good. Well, I'm going to introduce. So the way we're organized as an organization is we have chapters. We now have 11 chapters around the world, and our chapter leader. It's my pleasure to introduce Will, who introduced himself just a moment ago. Oh, Kelly, we can hear you now.
Ah, amazing. Just switched up the mic.
There you go. Good. Our technology is working.
Hey, Kelly. I'm with Meet. We help international companies exhibit at U.S. trade shows.
And what do you enjoy in the summer?
Oh, cycling, sailing, and swimming.
Love it. Okay. That's my wife, just so you guys know. My much better half. And okay, so I was going to introduce Will, who has been courageous and taken on the role of chapter leader. So I have the good fortune of getting connected with really cool people all over the globe. And it was funny, it was like 10 seconds into the conversation with Will, he said, I'll do it. And then about a minute later, he said, what is it I volunteered for again? And so it's just wonderful to meet such amazing people as Will and his counterparts from Osborne. They're just fantastic. But Will, do you want to take a second, kind of introduce yourself, kind of give a little bit more of your vision for the chapter and all that?
Yeah, sure. So a number of you already know me, but for those that you don't, I'm Will Devenish, UK qualified lawyer with Osborne Clarke, which is obviously an international law firm. I'm based here in the Bay Area, split my time between our offices in Palo Alto and San Francisco. And I guess really for the chapter, we're just looking to get a great group of people together that'll be able to, network between each other, use each other as a sounding board for, those kind of tricky situations that you come across sometimes in the international expansion space. I've already made a note of a couple of people that introed themselves to, because I was like, I've been looking for someone exactly like you for a while and haven't been able to find them. So it's about making those connections really, and getting a really good community going, where we can all act as a sounding board and work together, and then hopefully eventually be in a position whereby, offline relationships develop and the clients can be exchanged, and move forward from there.
Brilliant. That's cool. Well, thank you. Well, it's exciting to be working with you. And so I'm going to give you just and this, nothing about what we're doing tonight is intended to be sales oriented, but I want to at least tell you a little bit about Softland Partners, and just so you know, our kind of what caused us to form and kind of where we're going. So give me 2 or 3 minutes for that. So we started, probably had to put a website up about 6 months ago that was completely embarrassing, but that's where we all start. But what we are aimed at is helping international companies identify best fit resources and service providers when they enter new markets. And and I think many of you have experienced, because we've talked to many of you, have experienced something similar in that quite often we get new clients who we kind of see as damaged children. They've come to us after having had maybe horrific market entry experiences. We have one client that spent about $1.2 million on 2 failed market entry attempts before we met them. And that story kind of repeats itself quite frequently. And in some cases, they make bad decisions. In other cases, maybe they even get, they somehow get taken advantage of by bad actors. So a big part of what we're doing is really looking to build a community, a large community, global community of resources that are available for market entry companies and all who have committed to standards around competence, ethics, and professionalism. And so we have we're kind of a couple components right now. We have an online marketplace where market entry companies can find resources. We have a concierge that can guide them through that process. Obviously, we have meetups, and we just sort of launched the meetup idea. It's less than 3 months old, and as I mentioned off the top, we have 11 going globally now. So besides San Francisco, we have LA, New York, Boston, Connecticut, Philadelphia, London, Amsterdam, Moscow, Mumbai, and Sao Paulo. And usually every one of these calls sort of creates a new one. So if you have an office somewhere else where it might make sense for us to start another one, it's pretty low friction to get these going, especially when we're virtual. So certainly very open to that. We do have a fair amount in our roadmap that we hope to launch as we go through the rest of the year. We'd like to develop a speakers bureau on the site because obviously there are lots of trade delegations and conferences where various market entry and internationalization topics are appropriate, and many of us are sought after for content. So we want to have a kind of a place to connect all the trade and investment professionals who are hosting all these events with great content. And so, yeah, our audience is really kind of twofold, and really the target tonight and or this afternoon and going forward for these meetups is certainly international trade and investment professionals, either working for governments or industry organizations, and service providers who support internationalization and market entry. We're toying with the idea, and we just had our first meetup of all of the chapter leaders this week, toying with the idea of maybe once every 3 or once every 4 meetups to include the market entry or internationalizing companies. But our first goal is really to coalesce these chapters of support first, and then add those opportunities as we go. So that gives you a sense of what we're doing. We have kind of 2 ways to join. There's a service provider membership. Obviously, that's for people who are providing services, getting sort of economic benefit. And then there's a partner path, which would be for the trade and investment professionals and organizations. So more for the governments and the industry associations. But certainly happy, we'll follow up with an email too, so you'll get all that info, and happy to chat with anyone offline. But we're delighted that you're here. We want to build a very dense and rich community in San Francisco and really build bridges to other international and domestic communities around the world so that we can help drive these great connections that Will talked about. So Will, I'm going to turn it over to you, and if you want to hop into the member spotlights and get that going, if that's good on your end.
Yeah, so sure. Can we ask a question? Does that work?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, probably take 1 or 2.
Quick question just about the platform. Do you have a certain vision for the, say, end client, the companies? Is it mostly, say, mom and pop stores that are going abroad for the first time, or is it also like corporate life science companies that already have a whole department for this, or are you completely agnostic?
Yeah, we're agnostic in every sense. So agnostic to company size and stage, agnostic to industry, agnostic geographically. So think of it as a completely global and inclusive platform in terms of making those connections. Did that help?
Very much, thank you.
Cool, excellent. All right, Will, it's on to you, and we can chat, any questions too as we get through this. So, Will, on to you.
Cool. So as Bill was just saying, what we now do in the meetups is we have 2 6-minute sessions whereby a member gets to speak for 6 minutes about what they do and what they bring to the international expansion space. So straight up today, the first 6 minutes is going to be Jenkins talking about his business and how he supports the international expansion ecosystem. So Joerg, over to you.
Thanks, Will. So, as mentioned, we are by definition a typical German CPA firm, but we started to work in the international field already in the early 90s. This came through a partnership with PwC at the time. We shared the same office building in Munich, and they gave us what they called small business, means accounting, payroll, HR services, tax compliance. And out of this developed that we helped a lot of companies going to Germany that are really household names today that everybody knows, but we also have very small companies you've never ever heard of. So as I mentioned, between 1 and 2,000 employees in Germany, and we are a full service firm. That means we offer support in payroll, HR, accounting, tax compliance, tax structuring, but we also have quite considerable practice when it comes to individual tax returns, because this is something you see also every time that individuals who are being sent through the world and might have a foothold in different countries, and we are more than happy to do them, the German part, in collaboration with the local countries where they are coming from or where they are residing. To make this very clear, we do not engage in any way in US accounting or US tax law. We work with partners with this. We are not a law firm, so legal questions are going to be referred to Osborne Clarke. We're also not touching this, but tax law, we are more than happy to support. Another, let's say, add-on is we have our offices in San Francisco. And that means we are together with the German-American Chamber of Commerce, Germany Trade and Invest in Bavaria. So 3 government organizations. And what normally happens is a potential client comes to them first when it comes to the business environment or what they actually want to do in Germany. And then they come to us later on when it's actually about putting a plan to work. So we can also we're more than happy to facilitate the government relations, and they work free of charge. And they can, let's say, help with a lot of things we can't, like maybe even support with visa application, business registrations or something like this, or finding out what might be the right partner in Germany, or where to set up business, or where there might be some grants available. So, and this works pretty well for all of us. And I'm with the firm since '98. I'm a partner since '99. And and we have a little bit more than 100 employees ourselves. And so my role is mainly to develop our company and also to make our name better known. And I've seen, of course, I saw already a couple of familiar faces during the introductions, which is also nice.
Great. Do you have anything else you want to add, Joerg? Because you've got another couple of minutes to go.
I think maybe someone has a question about it, but I think the business model explains itself a little bit that you are doing this. And yeah, maybe what's very important is, sorry, thank you for it's not that difficult to find maybe German lawyers in the US, but we are the only German CPA firm, at least in the Western Hemisphere of the US. And I was doing this marketing personally since 2006. And I always thought I must meet someone, at least one competitor anywhere. But until this day, I didn't. So for whatever reasons, German CPAs seem to completely neglect the Western part of the US, and which is of course good for us.
Great. Does anyone have any questions for Joerg at this stage, as we've got a couple more minutes left in this slot?
Joerg, do you have a particular industry focus, or just, again, agnostic as well?
No, we take everyone who is willing to pay our reasonable fees. And of course, the business should please be legal. So otherwise, we are fine.
All right, we're gonna wait.
Okay, great. Well, if anyone's got any follow-up for Joerg, obviously there's a time at the end that we can do that. And as Bill mentioned earlier, if you become a member, then there's a Slack channel in which you can, obviously communicate with each other offline. So the second spotlight today is actually going to be on the government trade bodies. That's how we normally run these things. So with that in mind, I think Emily from GoBiz, which is the state of California's business and economic development arm, is going to spend the next sort of 6 minutes giving an insight into what GoBiz do. And yeah, over to you, Emily.
Thank you. Thank you, Will and Bill. Thank you for the invitation for providing this spotlight. I see a few familiar faces, so I'm glad to be here and meeting the rest of you. So thank you for that. I'm going to tell you just a little bit about the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development, which we colloquially refer to ourselves as GoBiz. So again, my name is Emily Desai, and I'm the trade and investment rep for Europe, the Middle East, Africa, and India for the state of California. You can see that because we're a state agency, we have quite large territories that we're covering, of course. My colleague Hanan Lee is also on the line, and Hanan is the trade and investment rep for Asia. So Hanan may jump in here as well, although it sounds as though she had some auditory issues at the beginning. But the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development, we have our international arm really in part in recognition of just the significant role that trade and investment, of course, play for California. It's probably not lost on this audience that California, you know, as the 5th largest economy in the world, trade and investment play a core component of that. You know, the state deals with $580 billion of exports and imports. We're one of the largest two-way trade states in the U.S. The 40 million residents that call California home, 5 million of them have jobs that are supported by the trade and infrastructure industry. Of course, now, given everything that's going on in California and throughout the world as a result of COVID, we also know that trade, international trade and investment is going to be a critical part of California's economic recovery strategy, and of course that of our international partners as well. So let me just tell you a little bit about how international policy and trade is handled with the state of California. And essentially it's a three-legged stool. When Governor Newsom took office, one of the first things that he did by executive order is provided international oversight to the Lieutenant Governor, Eleni Kounalakis. The Lieutenant Governor is a former U.S. ambassador, perfectly well suited to take on oversight of the international portfolio. And so she really directs a lot of the state's international trade and investment strategy. My office, my team within GoBiz, we work in collaboration with the Lieutenant Governor, directly with the Governor's Office, and the three units together work to identify California's international trade and investment strategy. We do that in concert with a number of our state partners and of course extensively in consultation with private industry as well. But the two primary areas that we really focus on, the first is export promotion. We really want to make sure that California's businesses who are interested, able, or are already exporting are able to do that successfully. There's a couple of ways in which we do that. One is California has a newly developed export training network. That's a multi-organizational partnership that we have where we focus on expanding the state's export and export training efforts. So we really like to make sure that we can work with small businesses in particular within California that are looking to grow their export strategy to better understand where there's international market opportunity and to be able to test the waters for looking at what export could mean for their business. So that could be everything from looking at how to better understand e-commerce strategies. It might be looking at developing some market research to see where there might be viability for new product lines, et cetera. We have extensive partnerships. Obviously, as you can imagine, we work extensively with our federal partners, most notably the U.S. Commercial Service under the Department of Commerce. Great export partners throughout the state here in California that we rely on extensively. You know, on the financing side of things, we also help our small businesses access funding through SBA, the Export-Import Bank, and other groups to make sure that they have access to trade financing as well. Another program that we run that I would flag for this group is called the STEP program. It's a federal program that supports small and medium-sized businesses, again, looking at export opportunities, and it provides those businesses funding. And that funding might be used toward attending trade shows, participating in trade missions, doing something like translating their website, shipping and sending product overseas to try to develop partners and buyers overseas. So that's a big program within our export efforts as well. The other big initiative, of course, that we work on that probably you know, directly relates to this audience as well is, of course, facilitating FDI here in California. We have a member of our team, Maria, who isn't able to join today. Maria's really our frontline face for handling FDI here in California. And what she does is interfaces with those businesses that are looking at expanding here in California and providing that soft entry for them from the state perspective. So we offer a couple of things for businesses, large and small, that I think would be important for you all just to make a note of for the services you provide your own clients. The first is site selection. We provide that free, no cost to companies that are looking here in California to expand. We work with our economic development partners throughout the state of California to help to identify sites that might be viable for a company's business. We get and bundle large RFPs for companies and help them to make those site selection decisions, again, free of cost. And the other major component that we play for businesses is incentive navigation. So we provide tailored, white glove service to help those companies navigate through the incentive, the array of incentives that might be available for that business as they look at expanding here in California, and then of course making sure they stay here in California. A component of that is also supporting companies on the permitting process, and that can be everything from helping a foreign business properly navigate through the Secretary of State process and just simply setting up their LLC. It could be looking at how to properly work with our Department of Agriculture, for example, on a major permitting for a new product line within that industry space. So it really runs the gamut. There are many incentives and services here in California, and it can be quite confusing. And one of the biggest things that we can do to help those companies is understand what might apply to them. The final thing on our international strategy is really that broader international collaboration. The Lieutenant Governor oversees the International Affairs and Trade Committee within the state of California. It's an operating body that includes the 12 or 13, I believe, state agencies that have a lot of international activity given the way that they operate. And so that convening group meets regularly and discusses California's broader international strategy as it relates to our engagement with key partners. We focus on our overseas presence. We have a China trade and investment network with organizational partners that help us and help California companies who want to evaluate business activity in China. We have a trade and investment desk in Mexico and also one in Armenia. And then the final piece is, of course, foreign missions and international travel activity, which right now, the priority has necessarily shifted. But we do like to make sure that we can support delegations of California companies that are looking at outbound mission opportunities, as well as welcoming those foreign missions here to California and making sure they can kind of understand the landscape of opportunity here in California. So I'll stop there. I think that's quite a bit, but looking forward to really networking with all of you. Bill, please feel free to share our contact information, and I would invite all of you to connect with us via LinkedIn. We want to make sure that folks know how to utilize the state's international services, and would be happy to support your clients and your companies however best we can.
Great, thanks, Emily. That's really useful insight, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be connecting with you guys after this meeting. Now we move on to the kind of needs and opportunities section, which Bill explained a bit earlier on. So basically for the next 10 to 15 minutes, it's really the time now to connect to resources that you think are going to be useful for clients. So feel free to mention any events or opportunities that you think is going to be interesting to the wider group, or does anyone want to kick off by mentioning a specific need that they have at the moment for a client, and perhaps the group brainstorming around how they can support or coming up with some suggestions to support that specific issue.
This is the interactive part.
Yeah, this is reminding me. I was about to say, I'm going to have to pick on someone otherwise, like a school teacher.
We need a vaccine for this coronavirus. Has anyone got that?
Yeah, Tate, I've got a load. Do you want me to send some across?
Some bleach.
It was a joke. I was just trying to loosen everybody up.
Well, perhaps like as a related question, I mean, we sort of have to address the elephant in the room, I guess, and maybe we could start with our friends from GoBiz. I think that with a lot of our clients currently, we see that they have to cut costs, particularly in the international spectrum. And I think a lot of companies are affected differently by the current situation. Some of them depend more heavily on global logistics. Some of them were only just starting. So I think it would be good for a couple of you to hear how have your clients been dealing with the current uncertainty, and maybe our colleagues at GoBiz could go first with tackling that, for example.
Sure. I mean, I would actually defer to the rest of the group here. I mean, I think you all probably have a bit of a closer pulse most immediately right now, and I'd be happy to kind of weigh in at the end if helpful from the state perspective. But from an industry point of view, I think you're probably all more directly suited at this point.
Well, I joined late, but I have the sense that your focus is on mid-sized companies who are looking to expand, potentially in California. And internationally who are based in California. Is that what you're basically talking about, is business development?
Well, there's no limit to company size. So it's companies at all sizes, all stages, both entering the US or California, and also going from California and the US to other markets. So inbound and outbound for sure. But welcome, Carl. We'll have you maybe at the end of this section introduce yourself. Cool. What are you all, to Emily's point, what are you all hearing from your clients? I know, Jasper, it seemed like your sense was that your clients are retracting a little bit. Are others finding their clients are retracting or sort of being more aggressive in this moment?
I'll kick off and just say that our client base, which again is US-based companies expanding and operating globally, what they haven't done is expanded further, but they haven't contracted either. Some of our clients have taken advantage of some of the government schemes around the world, similar to PPP, where they were able to also furlough staff as well. And really that's just symptomatic of the desire to retain as much cash as possible right now for when they can come back to business as usual, which might be a few weeks from now, months from now, but we don't really know. What we're seeing though is that they're not really reducing headcount on a permanent basis. Plans that perhaps were in place to go into a new country have been perhaps put on hold. But no one is saying this is terminal, because the majority of our clients are technology companies. I think what we've seen is that technology right now is very resilient. It's technology that's enabling us to do what we're doing right now. And therefore our client base are overall feeling pretty positive that, they are fueling a lot of what's happening that's enabling us all to operate. So it's certainly not doom and gloom.
Good stuff, Steve.
I might second that what Steve is saying, because mostly I deal with clients and companies going to Germany, and I had a couple of companies that wanted to go to Germany, and then COVID-19 hit, and they put their plans on hold. Now that Germany is opening up again, and they are open for 2 weeks now, and the numbers are still going down, they're actually resuming their activities. And I thought, okay, there won't be any new clients in the next couple of months, but I cannot say so. I checked yesterday, I think I had 16 or 17 companies in the pipeline that showed really earnest interest. They're just waiting for things getting a little bit better in Germany, which they are obviously right now. And I got even a couple of new clients in this phase who were very resilient or just got funding or something. But what I'm trying to say is, when there is just a glimmer of hope, because this is more a health crisis than an economic crisis, people just want to see this glimmer of hope and then to move forward. And it's all about psychology. And I think if everybody does this, then we will get out there rather sooner than later, and hopefully with a V-shaped recovery, not with an L or U or something like this. So this is my personal experience of the last couple of weeks and days.
Right. And Lou was going to say something as well. Lou?
Yeah. So I see two trends. One is to save cost. So from tax perspective, we often advise our clients to close some of the dormant entities and some low activity entities, so they can, by doing that, they can avoid some of the legal and tax compliance cost. For example, if you keep a subsidiary, dormant subsidiary under the US, it's going to be you have to file certain forms in the US, and the forms is complex. You have to spend a few $1,000s on it, and plus legal fees, plus some other fixed amount like franchise tax, things like that. And also another thing I've seen that's increasing M&A activities. So because the valuation is tend to go low right now, so I see companies start to thinking about acquire some of the new businesses. And one of my clients are actually selling a side business to Apple right now. So some people, I think I'm a positive person in nature. I want to see this as an opportunity, right? So you can see some of the companies can maybe avoid or reduce their US tax liability by adjusting their transfer pricing methodology to say, I'm not cost plus because given the situation right now. And so, the entity in the US have to share some of the value chain losses. So, there are definitely plenty of opportunities to do to generate more cash and to reduce cost.
Perfect. Thank you.
Bill, I'll offer something, and this is a trend that I'm seeing, and unfortunately, I can't help it being a small plug for the concepts we're promoting, but we're finding a lot of companies now are taking the time to look at longer term business development and marketing tools like their websites. There are a lot of manufacturers that do 75% of their business comes from trade shows and customer visits. All those things are canceled now. They're stuck in the office, so they're realizing that if they invest in some of these things, it's a way to let the world know that they're open for business and be ready for the rebound. It's fairly low investment and low risk. Now, the flip side of that conversation is there are a lot of companies that were talking about that in March, and now suddenly they're in triage mode, laying people off, trying to keep the doors open, and can't deal with anything until July or August. But when they're not all scrambling to prepare for that next trade show in Vietnam, they're taking a little time to think about how do I expand my marketing toolkit and maybe hedge against the next crisis that comes along. So,
good observation. Do we want to move to Emily? Do you want to kind of sum up this topic with your observations, and then we can maybe hit another topic or two?
No, I mean, I think those are all spot on. I think the only other thing that I would add that we're looking at is, of course, not only potentially increased more M&A within our FDI strategy, but also the potential for more reshoring. So as companies are looking at perhaps truncating their supply chain or looking for more stability within over, the medium or longer term, where there might be opportunity here in California to regain or tackle some of that, whether it's advanced manufacturing or other pieces. I think the supply chain piece is another one, and the reshoring is some of the considerations that we're looking at as well and are hearing about.
I've read a couple of very good articles recently about how this COVID crisis has really exposed the fragility and some problems with the supply chain. It's making companies think twice about being so reluctant or so reliant rather on things coming in for China, for instance. So it's coming to light now. Good point.
Cool.
I'll just weigh in with some thoughts. I guess what I'm seeing is a bit of a shakeout. Some of the themes that were talked about. Small enterprises that are reliant on raising more capital are having difficulty. If they have business models that were shaky, now they're being painted with a fresh coat of doubt. That you can see some opportunistic buyers in there who are potentially coming in to take a look at what's available. And this whole idea of what is the supply chain, the underlying assumptions for planning are still up in the air, and that's affecting not only businesses but investors, because those expectations are being reflected in valuations when new deals are being done. So yeah, that's my thought.
Cool. Well, while you're speaking, Carl, do you just want to do a quick intro? We did like 10-second intro, so name, company, and one sentence. Carl Sjogren, author of a book called The Fair Share Model,
about an idea for a performance-based capital structure for venture stage initial public offerings. I say it's reimagining capitalism at the DNA level because it looks at how to cast the interest of investors and employees. The former chairman of Silicon Valley Bank said it was an important work.
Cool, awesome. Well, welcome. Will, I'm going to turn it back to you. We may have time for maybe one more need and opportunity. Sorry for jumping in.
No, you're fine. Yeah, so we've got a couple of minutes left for another need and opportunity. So I don't know if anyone else who's got any ideas or questions that they want to pose.
I was thinking on one of them for somebody mentioned all the trade shows being canceled. I was speaking with an Israeli company the other day that's creating virtual booths, like a more three-dimensional way to kind of like, and not that Zoom meetings are good, this one's extra fun, but like, yeah, to like navigate as if you're at a trade show and visit some 3D virtual booths. So, I mean, yeah, let me know if any of you are looking to spice up your like online versions of webinars these days. Could be cool. What's the easiest way for that? Should I put like my email down? Are we gonna all add each other on LinkedIn? What's the easiest way to communicate after this?
Yeah, we actually post the member list with, or the participant list with emails on Slack. So it's certainly, you can connect via the chat here, and then we'll pop that into the member Slack channel as well.
Oh, that'd be awesome. And then actually, maybe I got one quick question for Emily. If you work within the governor task forces around the COVID management, I think there's some tech tools for tracking and population management that Israel was using that, I don't know, we wondered if other governments were curious about using these tracing and tracking tools as well. So I'm wondering if you have anybody I should try to get in touch with if you work with the governor's team on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm aware of our contact tracing efforts. It's something that our Department of Labor and, of course, our Department of Public Health are really the lead on, and obviously technology is going to be a core component of that. I wouldn't be able to say more detail beyond that, but then please email me and I'd be happy to see if there's anything that I could do there. But certainly that's going to be a key part of our recovery. And as we know from our partners throughout the world, contact tracing is going to be of paramount importance, and we all have a role in that.
Awesome.
Great. Anyone else got any needs or opportunities that they want to mention now?
I would say, as I start to write business development strategies for the upcoming year, economic development's been turned on its head in a way, as Zan mentioned, with the conferences and such, like organized serendipity, all that kind of stuff doesn't happen as much. So if anyone's got unique ideas about what they're going to plan out, what their roadmap's going to be for 12 to 18 months, I'd love to talk to them, first of all, and just kind of hear some ideas. I know we all have virtual ideas and virtual meetings with VCs and B2B stuff. That's not reinventing the wheel. But if anyone's got a really outside the box idea that they need help executing on or want to talk about, I would love to hear it, because I'm kind of in that stage right now.
That's actually a really good point, Tate, and something that I know Rachel, who's online, we've been discussing quite a lot internally within Osborne Clarke, is about actually what does the next 12 to 18 months look like, and how can we do something that is slightly different to the usual, hey, come to our webinar, or, you know, come and speak to us virtually. It's a real challenge, and I'm sure it's something that every single person on this call is actually trying to battle with as well.
I don't know whether anybody else has seen this today, but Facebook said that all the employees are going to work from home, most likely for the next decade. And I think that was a very interesting comment. We were talking about 10 years here now, that they think they're going to work from home. So this might then really change the environment, because also other companies offer now their employees to work from home indefinitely.
Yeah, Twitter has outdone them. Didn't the CEO of Twitter announce employees did never have to come back to the office?
I remember reading about the same thing.
Well, we're going to solve our homeless problem in no time.
Exactly. All those poor real estate brokers.
Well, it's interesting because it does create a little bit of a divide because let's be clear, Jack Dorsey was thinking about everyone on Twitter working from home for years. Google asked everybody to work from home until at least January. But I was talking to a Washington State retail company not too long ago, and like 97% of their workforce, thousands of people, you know, they're client facing, so they just can't adapt so quickly. So it's interesting how you see for some companies it's just, and we're working from home now, and some of them we sort of have to handhold through the process.
Yeah, I think that's right, Jasper. And actually, just speaking personally about what we're doing at the moment, I'll let Rachel speak a bit more about this because this is taking up a lot of her time at the moment, but is actually advising a lot of our clients on how they return their employees to work legally and making sure that, you know, they don't breach any of the various new regulations that are coming in place in relation to COVID-19 from a health and safety perspective and things like that. Rach, did you want to just give a bit of an insight to the rest of the group? Because I think that might be quite helpful.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I mean, it's taking up a lot of our time at the moment, particularly kind of as we're international law firm and each different European country is taking things kind of differently and also much quicker than the US. So the US businesses that we're talking to are finding it quite strange that actually in Europe things are moving a lot quicker and they're kind of seeing their employees kind of going back. So yeah, we're kind of working with a lot of businesses on kind of what does getting back into the office look like, particularly as Will said, health and safety. There's lots of new kind of health and safety regulations out there and the kind of requirement to undertake kind of risk assessments. A lot of the key things we're advising on as well is in relation to data privacy. So kind of companies are collecting a lot more kind of personal and really sensitive personal information about employees, kind of whether it's, you know, health checks or people disclosing that they've been ill or they've got a particular underlying condition. So there's lots of advice around that. A lot of advice around kind of actual, you know, physical premises and kind of whether people can change their lease agreements. As you said, kind of people are looking to have people work from home a bit more. So maybe they're looking to scale down operations, both from in terms of having people in the office and also an easy way to cut costs. So there's loads of different things. In terms of kind of an interesting way how we've been advising some of our clients, which has received kind of really good feedback, is they're doing a session called like talking heads. So they're getting kind of GCs or, you know, kind of HR people together from maybe 10 of our kind of 10 clients and facilitating that discussion. So talking about maybe just picking one of those key issues that I've just been talking about and then getting like-minded companies together and actually facilitating that conversation. They found it really useful to talk about the different ways that different companies are approaching it. So it's a long way to answer your question, Will, but yes, it is occupying a lot of our time. It's something that a lot of our clients want to talk to us about.
And the other thing that we've also noticed an increase in is, you know, US businesses that got operations in Europe, but actually their operations, their offices are just in a WeWork or, you know, equivalent, and actually trying to understand, well, heck, how do we get our European workforce comfortable with going back into a co-working space to work, you know, once the lockdown eases. So it's another interesting thing for people to tackle.
Definitely.
Great. Well, I can see we've had a couple of people drop off, which is understandable because we just ticked over to the end of the full hour. Just to quickly say, the next group meeting is going to be on the 18th of June at 3:30 as well. So we'll circulate details about that. Bill, did you just want to say about the follow-up will be, everyone's emails will be circulated, is that right?
Yeah, so a couple things. One suggestion would be pick one or two people that are on the call now between now and our next meeting to get together with, obviously probably virtually, but the network is going to get much better and stronger faster as we get, as individuals get greater intimacy with a few than us being superficial with many. We'll find that the network effect is much stronger and faster. And then, yeah, as I mentioned, we will be sharing the participant list with email addresses, but here's our hook, is that'll be on the private Slack channel. So it is our one way to sort of draw you in. We have very few tools to drive your engagement here, so we have to use whatever we have. But in any event, we're connecting on all these methods. And you also, we did share, and we'll leave up that Google Doc we shared with all the names and organizations. So if you really don't want to get involved, we certainly don't want to compel that, but you can find folks on their website or LinkedIn or whatever. So in any event, with that, we kind of go to open time, just if people want to hang out and chat about anything, it's open, but I'll turn it back to Will.
Yeah, sure. So, we'll stay on the line for, a little while if people just want to chat and connect. But otherwise, you can see everyone dropping off. So, you're free to carry on, and we'll see you all next month, hopefully.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thanks
guys. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Nikki.
Thank you.
Thanks for organizing, guys. Thank you.
Thanks for everyone.
Cheers. Bye.
Yeah, thanks. That was great. I'm excited.
Thanks, Stewart. Cool. What other topics? Anyone have another topic they want to talk about?
It's a good question. I don't know. I was playing the game to see who was going to be the last one.
Morally supporting Will. I've got to help a colleague.
Zan, I didn't know that was a game. Now I have a whole new thing on conference calls. That's great.
Entire new world to play with.
It's like
who's
like
the
the last clap. Like the last clap.
Exactly. Yeah. Is there a prize you get for being last? I don't know that we announced anything about a prize.
I'm gonna go. You guys have a great night. See ya.
Thanks,
Awesome.
Kelly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Nice.
Okay, I think we're dropping off
Yeah,
now.
that sounds good. It was a really good get together. Thank you.
I speak to Rachel enough.
Thanks,
so
Rachel.
Yeah.
We'll see y'all soon at the next one. There's another one coming up, or?
Yeah, June 18th.
Thanks, everyone.
June 18th.
Yeah.
Awesome. Sounds good. All right. And then thanks for hosting.
Bye.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, Zan. Nice to meet you,
Yeah.
Rachel.
See you later.
Well, it's just you and I, Will.
Yeah. That was good.
I thought a great group of people. Really amazing group of people. So yeah, it was good. How did it feel to you in terms of interaction?
Yeah, I thought it was good. I think a few learning points. Next time I'm actually, come up with a list of topics just to keep driving that conversation, right? Because, Rachel was messaging me going, I've got something I can fill in here.
Oh, good.
Because it is slightly difficult trying to get that engagement going, isn't it?
It depends on the city. Yeah, and it really just takes one person. And maybe what we want to do is almost assign one or two people to say, just think of a client need, and we need you to sort of, drop it. But, in some of the cities, it's sort of automatic, and, one or two things flow. I was really glad that people didn't use it as marketing time. We found that, actually saying, you have to stop marketing now. This is, you're not focusing on you anymore. It's, you got to focus on your clients. That may be more of an East Coast challenge.
Comment?
What's that?
I said no comment.
Yeah, no, I think probably somehow seeding the ground and it was funny. We had a lot of trade and investment people sign up, but not as many show up.
Yeah, I was going to say that was the other thing was, looking at the list, we had a fair number of those that operate in that kind of payroll accounting space, right? So your TMFs, your Crow, your COSEC, those, Intertrust, Joerg.
Right.
But when I was looking at the list, I was like, oh, it's okay because there are a number of trade and investment people. Like, this is going to be fine. But yeah, you're right. It wasn't the best showing from that side of things.
Yeah, and what we did, and we're just kind of experimenting with LinkedIn. So we put all of the current cycle of events are up on LinkedIn, and what we're finding is a lot of people are, probably like at least a third of the registrations we got were on LinkedIn, and then we essentially just pulled them into Eventbrite and used their email to let them know they were registered and the dial-in info. We're going to check the statistics, but my guess is there's a lower show rate from those people.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I think the other thing that you might start getting in the Bay Area Although given the time difference, having it later in the day works. Is I was going to say you'll start to get people that fly in, fly out from the Bay Area that try and do that kind of FDI stuff. So, you know, there's a whole raft of UK providers that come over for a week, say, and try and market, you know, in the Bay Area. So I think the time zone, because obviously it's the middle of the night in Europe at the moment, discourages that in a way, but it'll be interesting to see if we see that kind of.
And it'll probably change when we go in person too. Obviously, it's a little more challenging. One of the things now, did you know Emily before? Are you familiar with her?
No, but like literally just writing down, like, you know, the China desk. I've got a client at the moment. This, you know, we're helping. We've got an office in China, so we're helping them from a legal side of things, but